You're listening to Drummer Daily, the only daily podcast dedicated just to drummers, for a free video series explaining how you can become rock solid at playing drums with a click track in just 2 weeks in as little as 20 minutes per day. Visit boomclick.net. Hey there, welcome back again to Drummer Daily. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to jump right into it today. Earlier today, I happened to catch a friend of mine posted a video on Facebook of John Mayer perform recently on Jimmy Fallon on his late night show, and of course he had Pino Palladino playing bass for him, and he had Steve Jordan playing drums, which is always awesome to check out. Always really cool. Always love. I don't know if you know this about me or not, but I'm a sucker for live music. It doesn't matter what it is. We don't have this channel anymore, but we used to have that channel on our TV that was like always. It was nothing but concerts and live music and stuff. And my wife hated it because I would watch. It didn't matter what it was. It could be like there's some pretty awful concerts that they would air sometimes on that, and I would watch. It didn't matter what it was, what kind of music it was. I would watch it. And I just couldn't help myself. I love watching live musicians play. And so I love, as much as I can, I like to try to catch any of the live performances on the late night shows, when the bands play at the end. I love watching that stuff. And definitely in the case of watching someone like Steve Jordan play drums, always try to catch that whenever I can. So anyway, what was interesting about Steve Jordan's setup for this show was he was playing it looked like he had not finished setting up, and they had to shoot the song, and so he just played with what he had. But it was, he had a 5-piece drum set, so he had a kick and a snare, and he had 2 rack toms and a floor tom, and he had no cymbals, and he played with 1 shaker in one hand and a drumstick in the other hand, and that was his setup. And it's just funny because I've seen other bands that I'm pretty familiar with play on late night shows, and they'll record. They'll be there, and obviously you're just taping. Most of the time you're taping 1 song. Sometimes I tape a couple of songs. They'll do a couple of online exclusives, things like that, depending on what late night show it is. I have some friends who've played some of them, but most of the time it's just they're playing the 1 song that you're seeing on TV, and they're there just for that, and they leave. But it's funny because some other bands, they'll set up, the drummer will set up his full drum kit, and he'll never hit half the stuff that's set up. It was really fun to see Steve Jordan. He was like, all right, well, we're playing this 1 song, and I don't play any cymbals. The track for this song doesn't have any cymbals, so I'm not going to play any cymbals. I am going to play 3 toms, and I have this shaker I'm going to play. And so it was like he only set up what he needed, because what's the point when you're performing 1 song? What's the point of having a bunch of stuff set up that you're not even going to play? Just more trouble. And I'm always of the opinion of, I guess I'm kind of lazy or something. I'm like, I'm not setting stuff up if I'm not going to play it. So that's one thing. I think about different trends and drum setups and things like that. It was cool to have, everyone had the 5-piece kit back in the 90s, and then they switched. A couple of guys started doing the 4-piece with just a rack tom and a floor tom. And then it's been recently a trend, to not have any rack toms and do the electronic, pad instead of the rack tom. There's always these trends that go along. What's funny though is that I wonder, even back in the 80s when it was a trend to have 1 million toms, and you see guys with 2 or 3 bass drums set up, and even the guys with just 2, they weren't playing the second bass drum. They had a single pedal, and the other one was just there for show. But some of the things like all the extra toms and cymbals and stuff, I wonder how much of those setups were set up that way because the music, demanded that you play all those things, and how much of it was like the music ended up having 1,500 tom hits in it because the drummer had 1,500 toms set up. It's like it's like a chicken or the egg kind of thing. What, was the music being informed by the trend and the drummers and how they set up, or was the trends and the drummers how they set up was that being informed by the music and what was needed for the song. But all that to say, it was refreshing to see someone who was very intentional. And, you'll know if you listen to a lot of my podcasts, that's a big thing for me, is being intentional about what we play and how we play. And so it was cool to see someone with a setup that was very intentional. It was, I'm not playing these other pieces in this song, and so why have them set up? And so I just want to kind of expand that out a little bit to our playing. When you're playing any pattern at all for any song, and of course we can drive ourselves crazy with this, but I always try to analyze what I'm doing and ask myself, why am I playing this part on this hand why am I playing this hi-hat part, or why am I playing this exact kick drum pattern? Am I always playing a little ghosted pickup note on the kick, going into beat one, going da-doon, doon, ch, doon, ch, da-doon, doon, ch, like that kind of stuff. If I'm ghosting kick drum notes, why am I doing that? Or am I always playing all those fill-in ghost notes on my left hand, and the people that you do, and am I always doing that, or am I not ever doing that? And or why do I, when I play a pattern? It's funny, if you watch, you may already know this too, but if you watch Charlie Watts, the drummer for the Rolling Stones, he never hits the hi-hat cymbal with his snare. So if he's playing a normal pattern, he will lift up his right hand from his hi-hat and just hit the snare with his left hand, and then go back to playing eighth notes with his right hand. So the snare and the hi-hat never hit together. And I think I've seen something about how he said, it was easier for them to record that way early on. They don't have to try to control and match the mix of the hi-hat and the drums. I don't know if that's true, if that's right, but that's what I heard from somebody. But anyway, it's one of those things. He's very intentional about that, and of course now it's probably a habit for him to play that way. But really ask yourself, why am I playing this specific pattern at this moment? Is that what the song needs? Does the song even need a hi-hat? Or a lot of times we ask ourselves when we play a pattern, do I need to be riding on the hi-hat or riding on the ride cymbal right now? Or do I need to switch over and ride on the floor tom? Well, the question we probably should ask ourselves first is, do I need to be, playing eighth notes? Do I need to be riding on anything? And the same thing, does this song need a kick drum in this part of it? Does there need to be a kick drum hit at all in this part of the song? Or does there need to be snare hits? Does there need to be any kind of backbeat in this part of the song? So really dive deep into what we're playing, and being intentional about not just what we're playing, but whether or not we're playing certain things at all. So that's my message today. My encouragement for you is to maybe look and see what things maybe you can get rid of or add on if you feel like you should. I've said before, it's really bad if you are playing a certain way because that's the way everyone plays. But it's equally as bad to not play something that's really the right thing for a song, making the right choice for a song, or supporting an artist in the way that they need to be supported. It's really a bad choice to not do something like that just because you want to be different than everyone else and everyone else is doing that. So if you can really break free from comparing yourself to anyone else and just do what's right for your music and your songs and your calling, you can really unlock some real magic in your playing. So take that with you. Have some fun this weekend. I'm recording this on a Friday. I know I'm going to play at church this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. But I will talk to you again on Monday if you're listening to this in real time. If not, I'll talk to you immediately after this with another episode because you're binge listening. And thank you. All right, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.